Good morning, Dulles. I am so happy you are with us today. I encourage you to say hi in the chat. We love that our hosts were able to chat with you during our online gatherings. Many of us today are at the winery celebrating communion. We'll be celebrating communion online as well. So make sure to take a moment to grab your bread or crackers and your juice or wine. And now speaking of wine, tonight Amy and Brad are hosting a wine and cheese tonight. This is something they do from time to time for people to spend a little more time getting to know them and to learn a little bit more about our church. Come join them from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at their home in South Riding. All of the details and the address will be on our app. We are only 2 weeks away from the Washington West Film Festival. This is a fun weekend-long event that our pastor Brad started 10 years ago. For all the details on that, visit the website below and be sure to buy your tickets soon. Marvel Sunday is next week. This is going to be a fun morning for us to talk about our favorite superheroes and where we can find true power in this world. As a reminder, this will be a family gathering, so there will be no Dulles kids. But we are going to have a lot of fun, and we want to see you all dressed up in your favorite Marvel gear, your favorite t-shirt, or your favorite costume, or your favorite hat, and parents too. And if you are at home, send us a picture of you in your Marvel costume. Again, we love that you are here with us on this Sunday.
He has walked upon the open waters. The sea was calm with just a word from him. He has fought the raging war of sorrow. When he speaks, a whisper shouts within. I see a miracle in an empty grave. The one we thought was dead has come to life again. I see a miracle in every chain you break. The power of heaven roaring within me. He will lift the anxious and the weary, calling home the burdened and the lost. And I am proof that you delight in second chances, and I am proof of the power in the cross. I see a miracle in an empty grave. The one we thought was dead has come to life again. I see a miracle in every chain you break. The power of heaven roaring within me. Compassion is his name. He traded all his glory for our shame. And like he rose, freedom from the ashes, we will rise from death to life again. I see a miracle in an empty grave. The one we thought was dead has come to life again. I see a miracle in every chain you break. The power of heaven roaring within me. I see a miracle. Oh, I see a miracle. Oh, I see a miracle. Oh, the power of heaven roaring within me.
If you haven't yet, there's still time to prepare bread or crackers, juice or wine for our communion together here in just a few minutes. So I want to just start by reading what I thought as a kid growing up in church and hearing this story about once a year, give or take, was really kind of a cool story and also kind of a bizarre story. This is from John chapter 2. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." Woman, why do you involve me? Woman can sound very derogatory in our day and our language, but this was actually a statement of respect in Jesus' time. Woman, why do you involve me? My hour has not yet come. His mother said to the servants, which is really interesting. She doesn't reply to Jesus. She turns to the servants at the wedding, almost like the caterers. Do whatever he tells you. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Now, there's a lot here that we don't have time today to get into. We will in the future. That this happened on the third day of the current event or story that John's telling us. These water jars are used for ceremonial or religious washing, to make someone clean for worship or to approach God. There's a lot here we could talk about. I want to really just zero in on one part of the story. Fill the jars with water, Jesus said, so they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, now draw some water out and take it to the master of the banquet. They did so, and the master of the banquet the master of the banquet tasted the water, that it had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, the best wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best wine till now. What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory. He revealed the glory, meaning of being God in the flesh, Emmanuel. And his disciples believed in him. All right, this is really kind of a bizarre story. That of all miracles, the first miracle, Jesus' first miracle, would be at a wedding party And when the wine runs out, that he would provide wine. He would create wine out of water. And so what's really going on here? As a kid, I remember thinking, wow, there's kind of a party side of Jesus, I guess. Is that the point of the story? And it is fun to think about this. Growing up in organized religion, growing up in church traditions, a lot of us have a very different view of Jesus than being at a wedding party and really playing a significant part in the party going on into the late hours of night. What is it, though, that's really happening here? He doesn't seem, part of the bizarre to me is he doesn't really seem into this miracle. His mom approaches him, hey, we're out of wine, suggesting that maybe she's a part of the wedding planning or the hosting the wedding. Jesus replies in kind of a strange way, well, why do you bother me? Why are you trying to involve me? My hour has not yet come. He didn't seem to be into it, or was it that it wasn't time for his miracles? Or was it that it wasn't time for the miracle of the new wine? And that's actually what his life being here would be all about. Jesus essentially is saying everything you see in the days, the months, the few years ahead, everything you hear from me is all leading to the moment, to the hour when I will offer my blood as the renewal, the beginning of the renewal of all things. So let's jump ahead to John chapter 13. Let's enter the upper room with Jesus. And I'm just going to read really the first verse here of the story. This is before Jesus' arrest and trial and crucifixion. And before that is the Passover meal, the Last Supper, where Jesus introduces communion. And before that is the foot washing, where Jesus symbolizes what he's about to do on the cross for all of us by washing the disciples' dirty feet and making them clean for dinner, making them clean for the feast, for the celebration of the Passover meal. And in this first verse of that chapter, John chapter 13, we're told it was just before the Passover festival, Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own, his followers, who were in the world, he loved them to the end, meaning he went to the very furthest extent of love. And it's interesting that in the wedding story, just before Jesus' first miracle, he tells Mary, his mother, my hour has not yet come. And there could be a lot of confusion about that. Like, is Jesus not ready to love people? Is Jesus not ready to start speaking the reality of God? Is he not ready for the Sermon on the Mount? What we learn here just before the Passover meal, just before giving the wine and the bread to the disciples, is that at Cana, at the wedding party, Jesus is saying, my hour for providing the best wine, the very best wine, has not yet come. The miracle of the new wine hasn't come. And fast forward just a few years, Jesus says that he knows, just before washing his disciples' feet, just before breaking the bread and giving the cup, just before later that night would be his arrest leading to his crucifixion, he knows that the hour has come. Jesus' first miracle was about wine, the best wine, and it was a foreshadow of what he would offer, what he would provide when he would go to the cross for all of us. And of course, the Passover meal being when Jesus chose to teach us the symbol of remembering his death on the cross, his giving his blood as the new wine, was related to the Passover meal, which started so long ago, way back in Egypt, when God's people, the Israelites, who were called to be a blessing to all the world, to the whole world, were in slavery. And God hears the cry of their hearts, and he has a plan for their future, for freedom from slavery. And that is the story that began the tradition of the Passover meal. And it's at the Passover meal where Jesus would share the cup of the new wine, which represented his blood, which would ultimately be about our freedom. And today, not freedom from actual physical captives, but from our own slavery to selfishness, to our imperfections, to our own struggling to be who we were always made to be, and who Jesus came to free us to be. So as Jesus instructed, he took the bread and he broke it. And he instructs us that when we break this bread and we eat this bread, to do this in remembrance of his sacrificial death, which is really the punishment for all sin, all brokenness, all self-serving, all promoting of ourselves ahead of his plan for us to promote others, to serve others, to live free of ourselves the way Jesus calls us. And so with that, we take this bread and we eat this in remembrance of him. Let's eat together. He took the cup. The disciples in that moment did not understand what he was talking about. And he even acknowledged that. He said, but you will understand. After his death, of course, and after his resurrection, the whole world would come to know that the cup he shared at the Last Supper represented the symbol, this visual aid that he gives us that would remind us always that he offered the new wine, the miracle of the wine, the best wine, which would really be his own sacrifice, so that we would be free from ourselves and everything that holds us back from being who God wants us to be. So with that, we drink this in remembrance of him. Jesus, sometimes we struggle to have the words. Today, we simply say thank you. Thank you for being a God, the God, creator God, who did not leave us in our brokenness, but you came into our brokenness. You came into our hurt, into our diseases, into our struggles, our mourning. And you walked alongside of humans in their selfishness. So much selfishness that would actually wrongfully accuse you and prosecute you and kill you. You came into this world to offer up yourself so that we could be free from ourselves, from our own selfishness, our own sin. And we thank you. We love what you've done for us. We love you. And God, even in the days and weeks and months ahead, in our moments of imperfection, we thank you for the grace, just your free gift of grace that forgives us and picks us up and teaches us from our mistakes and moves us more and more into the life of renewal, the life of being made new. Thank you for your new wine, Jesus. Thank you for the miracle of your wine. I love you, Dulles Church family, wherever you are, wherever you're watching from. Don't forget that next week is going to be Marvel Sunday. And if that sounds light or frivolous or, well, you're not a Marvel fan, you don't need to pay attention, I think that'll be a big mistake, because we're actually going to relate Marvel Sunday to John chapter 13. So join us at Light Ridge High School. If you're not a Marvel fan, if you've never watched Marvel movies, you will not be left behind, I promise you. And of course, we'll be right back here online again. Love you all so much.